The Ultimate Husband, written by Skykissing Wolf, produced by GoodFM. Chapter 1.
Daryl, dump away our foot wash.
3 women sat on the sofa, having just had their feet soaked and washed. From afar, these 3 beauties exuded an air of seduction and class, each with their unique charm. Among these 3 women was Daryl's wife and her 2 best friends. Upon his wife's behest, Daryl dumped the bowls of dirty water away subserviently. He dared not utter a single complaint. After all, he was the family's live-in son-in-law. Even after 3 years of marriage, he had no place in the family. His wife and mother-in-law would berate him for the slightest mistakes. Even a mutt would have a higher standing in the family than he did. Daryl and Lily Linden were husband and wife for 3 years, but only in name, for they had not consummated their marriage. He has not even felt the touch of her hand. Every night Daryl slept on the floor because of how heartily Lily despised him. Washing, cooking, cleaning the rooms, every single household chore was Daryl's duty. Once, he accidentally broke a bowl while cooking and was berated by Lily for half an hour. There was also a night when Daryl had to use the bathroom and unintentionally woke Lily up, and she slapped him hard on the face without any hesitation. That was the first time in his life that Daryl got hit. Since young, his parents could not even bear to lay a single finger on him. He was angry, yet he had to keep his fury to himself. All he could do was apologize profusely to Lily. In the end, he was punished to kneel the entire night. It has been 3 years now, and Daryl had gotten used to this lifestyle. Who else did he have but himself to blame for becoming a live-in son-in-law? Worse still, having lived day in, day out with Lily for 3 years, Daryl found himself unwittingly in love with her, even though he knew full well that she despised him and treated him like trash. Daryl was initially the second eldest son of the Darby clan, known as the largest clan in the Jiangnan region. 3 years ago, he had used $8 million in cash to purchase an 8% share in a company called Southeast Petroleum. During that time, hundreds of members of the Darby clan had scolded Daryl. Some called him mad. Some even accused him of harboring bad intentions, wanting to siphon the family fortune for himself. Ultimately, the clan agreed in unison to disown Daryl, including his parents, and erase them from the clan records. During these 3 years, Daryl felt the volatility of relationships. Old and dear friends were constantly looking for ways to avoid him. He had no choice but to resort to becoming a live-in son-in-law for the sake of his livelihood. He has never mentioned this matter to a single soul, not even to Lily.
My dear Lily, you've certainly trained your husband well,
said Jade, one of Lily's best friends. Lily let out a cold chuckle.
Are you talking about Daryl? The mere sight of him disgusts me. Other women marry into affluent families. Meanwhile, it's just my luck to be stuck with a piece of trash like him. Look at how uncouth he is. Just one look is enough to tell you that he's a peasant from the countryside. Bringing him to the Linden clan's annual gathering tomorrow would be an embarrassment.
Jade could not help but sneak a glance at Daryl. Indeed, all he had on were bargain goods, looking absolutely shabby. Jade laughed.
All right, Lily, enough about him. On a more serious note, I heard that there have been some issues with your company lately.
Lily nodded solemnly.
Last month we lost millions trying to start up a fashion business. Now the company is short on funds and is in dire need of $5 million. We've got to find an investor within a week to finance our company. My dear Lily, who's willing to fork out $5 million in a week to finance you?
Sighed Jade. Lily did not reply. Instead, she noticed that Daryl, who had completed his task, was eavesdropping on their conversation. She shot him a sharp stare and said coldly,
Daryl, who said you could be here? And get lost and have my clothes washed. Wash my jeans too. They're in my luggage, chimed in Jade as well.
Daryl dared not complain and proceeded to place their clothes into the washing machine along with his. Tomorrow was his high school reunion, and he had to put a little effort into looking presentable at the very least. As he was thinking about the reunion, his thought was interrupted by the buzzing of his cell phone. He checked his cell phone and saw that he had received a text message from a number ending with 6 8s. His eyebrows furrowed upon seeing the number. Isn't this the Darby clan's number? He thought. Daryl opened the message in curiosity and was shocked by reading it.
Oh, our second young master, please help our clan. The Darby clan is in dire need of funds, and we really need your financial support.
Preposterous! Daryl furrowed his eyebrows and thought to himself. Just 3 years ago, I was banished by the clan, and now with nothing to my name and $20 in my pocket, they want my financial support? What use am I to them? Daryl's thoughts were once again interrupted by the buzzing of his cell phone. It was another message.
Young master, please, I'm begging you to help your clan. The shares you bought 3 years ago have turned a huge profit. Please, we're doomed without your support.
What? Daryl was taken aback by that message. He quickly took out his Amethyst Bank Black card at a speed he never knew he had. The card had been in a state of disuse for 3 long years. It was a status symbol for the rich, for every card has its own dedicated customer service representative. He hastily dialed up the bank's customer service.
"Greetings, Mr. Darby. How may we assist you today?"
answered a sweet, feminine voice. "Quick, give me my account balance."
"My pleasure, sir. Please wait a moment,"
replied the lady. Within seconds, the lady spoke again.
"Mr. Darby, your total account balance has a large sum above our checking limit. If you could kindly come to our bank's VIP section with the appropriate identity verification, we would be glad to assist you."
Before the lady could finish her sentence, Daryl had already hung up the call.
Total account balance has a large sum?
Laughed Daryl while entertaining his thoughts. Who would have thought that this investment 3 years ago, which caused his banishment, would lead to such a pleasant surprise 3 years later? The added mystery of not knowing the exact amount of this large sum of money fueled his excitement.
Lily, look at Daryl checking his account balance on the phone,
laughed Jade uncontrollably. Lily laughed as well.
I give him an allowance of $200 a day. I suppose he's saved up quite a sum over the past 3 years. Oh, Lily, just treat it as if you're rearing a dog,
said Jade, prompting the 3 women to laugh in unison. Daryl ran to his wife in excitement and said, "Your company lacks $5 million, right? How about I find a way to solve this issue?" Jade burst out laughing with no end in sight. She merely glanced at Daryl and said,
Daryl, can you even comprehend the value of $5 million? Dear Lily gives you $200 every day. If you can somehow fork out $5 million, perhaps I should start calling you Daddy.
"Oh, really?" Daryl said with a sly grin. "In that case, you better keep what you said in mind." Lily could not stand him any longer. Daryl must have lost his mind. Standing among them, looking like a peasant, bothered Lily. She impatiently waved her hand.
Get lost and stop being an eyesore to us.
"Oh," he reacted, and left without saying another word. Daryl was unable to sleep that night due to the excitement. He dared not believe that such good news would appear out of nowhere. He was determined to head to the bank in person and check the balance for himself. Daryl tossed and turned until dawn before barely falling asleep. However, halfway through his sweet slumber came the voice of his mother-in-law reverberating from the living room.
"Daryl, wake up and take my daughter to work."
Daryl heard his mother-in-law, Samantha's voice, in his sleep. He assumed that it was just a dream and simply turned his back and continued his slumber. At this moment, the bedroom door opened, and in came Samantha, giving him an impatient kick.
Are you deaf or dumb? Didn't you hear me calling you to send Lily to work?
Said Samantha coldly. Daryl had to admit, Samantha was a beauty in her 30s. She took great care to maintain her looks. Daryl drowsily got up from the floor and stared at Samantha with a dumbfounded look on his face. After 3 years of marriage, not once have I gone out with Lily, for she found me to be an embarrassment. And now, out of sudden, she wants me to send her to work? Daryl thought to himself. It was right at that moment when Lily herself came into the room, dressed in her business attire. She stomped her feet in a rush.
Are you deaf? Be quick, or is it that you're not willing to send me?
I'm willing, Daryl said. He nodded his head non-stop. He hastily put on a change of clothes, got on his electric bike, and drove Lily to her office. Lily was filled with fiery rage due to her company's lack of funds and the urgent need for $5 million investment. However, she was not able to find an investor, and now her company is facing bankruptcy. An emergency meeting of shareholders was called to deal with the issue, and as the general manager of the company, her attendance was mandatory. It was only when she stepped out of the door in the morning that she realized that she had lent her car to Jade. As a last resort, she had no choice but to have Daryl send her to work. Chapter 2.
Can't you go any faster? I'll be screwed if I'm late,
said Lily impatiently at the sight of Daryl's slow-moving vehicle. As the words left her mouth, Lily began to regret them. Daryl, through his sheer will, pushed his busted-up bike through its limits. The speed of the bike was too much for Lily, and she could not help but hold on tight to Daryl's waist. The sudden hug caused Daryl's body to quiver all over. After 3 years of marriage, this was the first time they had physical contact with each other. A surge of excitement welled up from within him from Lily's pressure on his back, prompting him to accelerate his bike even faster. Eventually, the couple arrived at the office's building's main entrance, and Lily breathed a sigh of relief upon their arrival. As she was about to get off the bike, came the thunderous roar of an engine. An Audi Q5 pulled up and parked itself beside the bike, and a man stepped out of the car. Ashton Adagio locked his car and adjusted his suit. He walked toward Lily and pointed at Daryl.
Dear Lily, who is this man?
He's Daryl, replied Lily gently as she got off the bike. The wedding that took place between Daryl and Lily got the entire Donghai city shaken up. There was not a single soul in Donghai City that was not aware that the gentle and beautiful Lily Linden had wed a piece of trash.
Oh, so he's that piece of trash,
said Ashton with a cold snort. He took off his jacket and handed it to Lily.
Poor Lily, it must have been cold on the way here. Put this on. I've even gotten a gift for you.
Ashton went back to his car and got out a rather fancy-looking box. The box contained a seemingly magnificent pair of high-heeled shoes made out of crystal. Whoever has it on would surely emanate a sense of elegance and class. Several years ago, the Darby clan was also into the fashion business, and thus Daryl got to know numerous renowned designers. If his memory served him right, this pair of heels was designed by a British designer, Mina, who named them the Worship of Crystal. Only 99 pairs were made that year, and all of them were bought upon release. They were mostly bought by prominent families. Even if one were to have the money now, it would be impossible to have access to a pair. The ones in Ashton's hands seemed like the real deal, but the production quality had some minor rough edges. It was obviously a replica.
Lily, I know that you've always liked this pair of heels, but woe is me. I've looked high and low but could not find the real thing,
Ashton said as he handed over the heels to Lily.
Therefore, I spent $300,000 to have this replica made. Wear them for now, and give me a month to buy you the real ones.
There's no need, said Lily lightly while accepting the pair of heels.
There's no way you can find the real ones for sale. Even if you did, the price would be outrageously high. A pair was sold for $30 million in an auction just last year. So there's no need to waste any more of your time. I think this pair of replicas is already pretty nice.
Ah, gulped Ashton. Indeed, with his total net worth of roughly $30 million, there was no way he could use it all for a pair of heels. All he could do then was let out an awkward laugh. It was at this moment that Darrell barged over, snatched the pair of heels, and threw them onto the ground. "My dear wife, let's not take other people's stuff. If that's what you like, then as your husband, I shall buy it for you," said Darrell as he held onto Lily's arm, dragging her toward her office building.
Darrell, what the heck are you talking about?
Hushed Lily. They were standing at the main entrance of the office building, and as general manager, she had to keep her temper in check. She subconsciously tried to free her arm, but Darrell's grip was too tight.
"Stand right there,"
shouted Ashton in a hurry. The shoes cost him $300,000. He was not going to let it slide.
"What's the meaning of this?"
said Ashton as he strode to the couple, pointing and shouting at Darrell.
"If you had broken this pair of heels, not even selling your kidney would make up for it. Do you know that?"
"First off, Lily is my wife. Kindly stay away from her. Secondly, if my wife is cold, she can have my shirt." Upon finishing his sentence, Darrell grabbed Ashton's jacket and tossed it onto the ground. "And finally, anything my wife likes, I'll provide. A woman of her standard would not stoop so low as to wear replicas. Tonight, I shall present her with the real worship of crystal."
"You're a real idiot. Even the replica cost $300,000. Judging by your wreck of a bike, how dare you even pretend to be able to afford it?"
Ashton was instantly filled with rage. As the heir of the Adagio clan, no one dared to speak to him in such a manner for years until now. The most infuriating of all, Darrell went so far as to ignore him and dragged Lily into the building. Ashton kicked Darrell's bike so hard that it toppled over. However, his anger was not quelled, and he proceeded to give it a few more furious kicks. Meanwhile, in the general manager's office of Neptunus Corporation, Lily sat on her office chair and gave Darrell a cold, hard stare. She was trembling with rage. Ashton was a real estate mogul, and backing him was none other than Jiangnan's #1 clan, the Darbys. Neptunus Corporation needed a $5 million investment, and Lily had planned to ask Ashton to be the investor. After Darrell's debacle today, Ashton would surely be seething with rage.
"I shouldn't have brought Darrell out. He has nothing to show for, and yet has failures in excess. That's the perfect way to describe him," thought Lily. "Why are you still loitering here? Get lost!" Lily said coldly after glaring at him.
"Oh," mumbled Darrell, and proceeded to leave the office. Lily could not help but get angrier at Darrell's indifferent attitude. Her hatred for him ground her gears. Over the past few years, her friends had married into affluent families. Their husbands were the cream of the crop. Even the worst among them had at least 2 houses, and the best with a net worth of billions. Lily felt more and more wronged at the thought of Darrell. Her extended family would surely ridicule her again because of him during tonight's clan gathering.
"Who smashed my bike?"
howled Darrell below the building. The bike had been with him for 3 years. Darrell rode it to get groceries every single day, and now it pained him to see it in such a smashed and broken state. Without a second thought, it was clear that it was that bastard Ashton's doing. At that moment, a few ladies dressed in business attire walked by in their high-heeled shoes. They were employees of Lily's company, and they were now pointing and gossiping at Darrell.
"Look, ladies, isn't that Miss Linden's husband, Darrell?" "It is him. I was there at her wedding." "Look at him mourning his broken bike."
Those ladies could not hold back any longer and laugh at him. Daryl did not even notice their presence and gently patted his bike. My bike, bro, don't you worry. I'll avenge you for this. Don't worry. While he was comforting his bike, he took out his cell phone and dialed his clan's number. Hey, it's Daryl. I'm willing to help the clan, but on 2 conditions. First, get me the worship of Crystal. Next, there's a man named Ashton Adagio who operates under our clan, right? I want to see him with nothing left to his name. Right after the call ended, he received a text message from Lily. It contained only a few words.
Tonight is the Linden clan's annual gathering. Get a new set of clothes. Don't embarrass me.
At a seaside villa by the eastern sea coast, where one can take in the entire sea view, it was here that the patriarch of the Darby clan invited Daryl for a meeting. Daryl sat on a rocking chair without a care in the world, while Darby clan's patriarch sat across him. This man was Drake Darby, Daryl's paternal uncle. Upon seeing Daryl's sitting posture, Drake let out a chuckle.
Oh, Daryl, even after all these years, you're still the same carefree boy.
Uncle, let's cut to the chase. I have other matters to attend to tonight. You mentioned that the family fortune is in debt, so tell me, how much? Daryl picked up a huge cherry, placed it in his mouth, and started chewing on it.
Well, it's not exactly a huge amount,
drifted Drake while scratching his head. As the patriarch, surely he has seen through a lot of important meetings, but given the circumstance that he was the one requiring assistance, he had to exercise a certain amount of caution.
We're just $3 billion in debt.
What? $3 billion? Thought Daryl. Uncle, I have other matters to attend to. I should be heading out, said Daryl gloomily as he stood up, preparing to leave.
Oh, dear Daryl,
said Drake in a hurry.
Daryl, our clan needs the funding. Without it, everything we've built would be ruined. The 2 conditions you've mentioned will be met. Ashton Adagio will be left with nothing by tonight, and the worship of Crystal is already on its way.
Uncle, I want to help you, but where in the world would I have such an amount of money? Said Daryl, letting out a long sigh.
Daryl, do you want to see our clan crumble in front of your very eyes? You have $3.2 billion in your bank account.
Drake was truly desperate.
We can't forget our roots.
Daryl was all smiles, but after hearing those words, it slowly faded away. Uncle, back when I bought the shares for Southeast Petroleum, your wife said that I was up to no good and that I planned to have the family fortune transferred to myself. Hundreds of family members berated me and got me banished from the clan. Was there anyone that tried to defend me? You guys know damn well that every single penny of the $8 million I had used to buy the shares was earned by myself. They were never part of the family fortune. All these years, I've been treated like I'm less than a mutt for being a live-in son-in-law. Did any of our family come to help? If it wasn't for the lack of funds, you guys would have forgotten about me. Daryl clenched his fists, expressing himself word by word.
Daryl, we were wrong to banish you. We sincerely apologize. But right now, our clan is in dire need for your funding, said Drake as he stepped forward, holding on to Daryl's arm. He took a deep breath and continued. Daryl, as long as you're willing to support our clan, as patriarch, I will grant you the position of president of Platinum Corporation. Give me your identity card and head over to Platinum Corporation's office building tomorrow. A secretary will be there to fill you in on the details.
Platinum Corporation was an entertainment company with the highest potential under the Darby clan's control. Many top celebrities were under their contract. All these while Platinum Corporation was under the management of Drake's wife. It came as a surprise that he was willing to hand over the entire company to Daryl. Sure, if that's all, I'll be going off, said Daryl after giving it some consideration. Even though purchasing Platinum Corporation for $3 billion seemed inappropriate, he relented, seeing that the patriarch was about to burst into tears. Darrell left after finishing his words. Tonight was the Linden clan's annual gathering, but there was another important matter to Darrell before that, which was his high school reunion. The reunion was about to begin, and he was determined not to be late. He longed to meet his classmates after such a long time without contact. His entire class would be at today's gathering. Even the beautiful class teacher apparently would be attending too.